Florida State had an All-American at right tackle, true freshman.
What's his name?
A freshman All-American.
What's his name?
Fifth.
Say his name.
Scott. Devontae Love-Taylor was FSU's highest graded offensive tackle since 2016. And FSU got its first four-star offensive tackle signee since 16.
Okay, so we're bragging about a signee who hasn't played it down yet. You're bragging about Love-Taylor, who left several games injured. And how many games did he miss?
So that means that it could have been better. It could have even been better than that.
How many games did he miss at the end of the season? Oh, yeah, because he would have saved us in a 32-point loss to Louisville. And why are you not giving any credit to the running backs? And as I wrote on there, this is the first time since arguably the 2013 season that Florida State has had several decent running backs and not just relying on one, not just relying on Dalvin Cook.
No. Oh, yeah, you did say something about Cam Akers, too. I think I need to ask you about that. You said that Cam Akers was –
Here we go. Now watch this, James. He's going to twist my words up.
He said maybe, just maybe, our running backs were better than the one horse that was Cam Akers last season.
What other running backs were there to assist Cam Akers?
Who was good but couldn't have done it all on his own.
Right, Cam Akers was very good, but he had it all on his own for 3 seasons. So now you have decent running backs, as we've talked about. You talked about several. You talked about Corbin. You talked about Toafili. We have a decent running back room. I'm not saying that our offensive line is the worst thing in the face of God's green earth. But to sit here and say that the offensive line made vast improvements from last season is statistically incorrect. And to not give the running backs credit, you're sitting here wanting to give the offensive line all the credit and just dissing the running backs. I'm saying give the running backs a hell of a lot more
credit. I'm not dissing the running backs. It's just all about talking about the offensive line improvement.
I'm saying that the running backs were better and the offensive line was still atrocious. And this was a better running back room.
Meanwhile, Cam Akers is in the NFL.
Hold on, James. James is the only person who played running back in Garnet and Gold.
Starting, I should say, in the NFL, starting in the middle of the season. He's a starting running back, and he'll be starting in the playoffs this year.
Yeah,
rookie.
Cam Akers is damn good.
Yeah, and he also kicked my butt in the final week of fantasy, knocked me out of the playoffs. Thanks, Cam.
There it is. Now we know what the hatred is for him.
I don't have hate.
I made a statement. About Cam Akers. Is that he's a poor man's version of Dalvin Cook. Watching him his freshman year, watching his highlight film coming from high school coming in because he's very explosive. His problem was that his second level vision is lacking, and it still is lacking to this day. He can't separate like Dalvin could. But here's something that people aren't really paying attention when it comes to them is that there is whether I know people don't like to bring up this Willie guy here, but Willie's lethal simplicity and what we saw this year on the field had a lot of commonalities. The difference is the quarterback knew how to pull out and knew when to give. So having a dynamic quarterback is what really has inflated these numbers, and it makes your running game that much better. Statistically speaking, go and look at the amount of carries and look at the amount of yards that are had or that were shared from the running back. So you'll see that Jordan Travis was literally that guy. Jordan Travis had the most carries in the game. I believe he might have had some of the most carries over the season. He consistently had more yards than everybody. So that was a big thing on again the offense. If he just gave it all the time, you would consistently see a lack of a running game, much like Willie's first year. But being able to pull the ball and being wise enough to be able to do that was what allowed this team to be a lot better in the running game. Now, the things that people really care about with the offensive line, which is the passing game and stuff like that, was noticeably worse. And those are the things that I think we can – and I get what Beast has done. They did this all year. And I guess it does take a little – it gives a little bit of good smelling on the shit pile that was this season, which was 3-6. But I'm sorry, if you go in the bathroom and you spray all the air freshener you want, if you don't go and flush the toilet and address the situation, it's going to stink a little bit later on. And that's the truth. But there is a positive come out of that. I do believe that if you're going to say, James, which coach earned their check more this season than anybody else, I would say Alex Atkins did, because the real thing with all this is that Alex never had the same offensive line unit for the entire, even for a continuity of one game. So if Love Taylor can have an offseason to get healthy and get better, if Maurice Smith can get better and get healthy and maybe go to class sometimes and not have to get suspended for stupid things, if we could get Lucas to focus more in the weight room and actually beating defenders during the play as opposed to after the play, and you get a Mims that comes in and develops, you actually might see your guys take that next step. But until you really get a definitive passing game, we're going to just be looking for feel-good stories, and that's cool. Moral victories are from minor league coaches. To quote one of my favorite rappers, Jay-Z, and we're trying to be major, and we can't be sitting here looking for that because that's just it's cool for Vanderbilt. It's a Vanderbilt female kicker kicking an extra point. She did kick 2 extra points, like you said, but she didn't kick the field goal. Somebody else did that. So that's what that article is to me. It's not a lie. It is the truth. It is what happened, but there's more to it than that.
Well, just remember, Logan's part of that desperation group. The Mike Norvell is our savior. Mike Norvell is the greatest thing in the world since Bobby Bowden. So he is looking for that salvation. So that's why he's trying to brag about something in a 3-6 season. That's Logan Robinson from Noel Game Day.
Well, Mark, he might hold on now. That's not there's a lot of things that went on.
Shout out to Noel Game Day.
People didn't catch passes, but now we'll have a good we'll have actual quarterback competition this spring. We'll have some pieces that are coming into the transfer portal. You got some guys who know the system, so next year should be better. And more and more you look at stuff. Notre Dame's going to lose a lot to the transfer portal. They're going to lose a lot to the NFL. You got the things getting that to you, but again, it's going to be similar to these last guys if they don't. We keep wishing on the start, but I do believe Mike is going to be a coach. I think Mike can get us there. I just have to talk about what the situation is right now.